How do you do? Have you ever gone down the wrong road, blindly thinking you were going the right way, ignoring the signs and oblivious to warnings that you were headed for disaster? The man in this story did exactly that until he came to himself, made a 180-degree turn in the right direction, and his heart, mind, and life were unshackled.
Hey, what's going on?
Police! Freeze! Keep your hands in the air!
And what's up with this?
Hands behind your back. We have a warrant for your arrest.
Arrest for what?
Jumping parole. Search everything.
Parole? I never even been to prison. You got the wrong guy.
Yeah. That's what they all say. What's with this white powder we just found? And this gun? Looks fully automatic to me. That's an illegal weapon. Take him away.
This is Unshackled, the longest-running radio drama in history. True life stories produced in Chicago by Pacific Garden Mission. The power of darkness brings fear, cold, and the unknown to people without homes. But the lights of Pacific Garden Mission shine brightly on Chicago's dark streets, welcoming the homeless. Since 1877, the old lighthouse has been a haven for destitute and despairing people. And thanks to the financial gifts of friends, the mission provides a temporary home to hundreds of men, women, and children. In addition to meals, fresh clothing, and a safe bunk for the night, the mission offers medical and dental care in the mission clinic. All this is commendable, but doesn't change the course of their lives. To that end, pastors and counselors share the old story that sets them free of the power of darkness. Now for broadcast around the earth, here is program number 3199 in the series Unshackled, the program that makes you face yourself and think.
No bond for this prisoner.
No bond? You're my lawyer. Do something.
I'll see what I can do. Your Honor!
No bond. This man is a member of an international criminal organization with the means to flee to avoid prosecution. There will be no bond for Mr. Spurgeon. He is a menace to society.
The man in our story had come from a hard-working family, had been a paratrooper in the U.S. Army with an honorable discharge. How had he gone astray? This is his testimony of finding the right way. The true story of David Spurgeon, right now on Unshackled.
My parents were always good examples. While Mom worked in an ordnance factory, Dad fought in the Philippines during World War II. Dad was my hero. He was a carpenter after the war, and we moved to Toledo when I was 4. I had one sister 12 years older than I, so by the time I started school, she was graduating. I grew up with my parents' full attention. I had a great childhood. Scouts, sports, and biking with friends. When I was 8, Dad and I simultaneously had broken arms. Dad broke his when scaffolding fell at work, and mine broke during recess when 2 kids tackled me. I thought it was cool, signing each other's cast, but Mom never forgot that accident.
No, you may not play football, Dave. It's too dangerous.
Oh, Mom, come on!
You can play baseball or basketball, but not football. Look what happened when those 2 kids tackled you.
They were 6th graders, and I was just a 3rd grader.
I don't care. You're not playing football.
We lived in the country, and Mom wouldn't drive me to practice, so that was that. Instead, I got a job at 14 helping a farmer who taught me to drive. First his tractor and then farm trucks. I saved my money to buy a car and couldn't wait till I was 16 and got my license. Dad helped me buy an 8-year-old Ford. But a week later, I ran a stop sign and another car hit me, denting my ego as much as the car. There's no excuse for why I rebelled except selfishness and a sinful heart. I was a teenager in the 60s when rebellion slowly penetrated my heart and mind and many of my peers. Music about drugs and immorality filled the airwaves and taught us that we were right and the world was all wrong. Driving became an obsession with me, paired with drinking.
Why are you getting home so late, David? The game ended hours ago.
I was driving around with my buddies.
You've been drinking.
Everybody does, Mom.
Oh, it's those lousy friends of yours. No wonder you have problems.
My grades are good, so get off my back.
I can't believe you said that to me.
Well, you're always bugging me. I don't do enough around here. My music's too loud. My hair's too long.
Well, it is. We didn't raise you to look and act like some hippie.
I just want to be me.
You'd better get some sleep if you're going to church with us tomorrow.
I'm not going.
Oh, what's happening to you, David?
I felt bad about making Mom cry because I loved her, but I wanted to be free. I'd gone to church with my parents, but I didn't think it was for me, and I didn't care about anything but me. Movies and music fueled my rebellion, planting seeds of obsession that would deceive me and lead me down the path of death. I lost several jobs because I lacked character, adding to the friction at home. Senior year, I bought a very fast car that consumed premium gasoline. I thought I was cool, driving 100 miles an hour, no thought about others. 3 months after I graduated, I lost another job and couldn't afford gas for my car, so there was only one solution.
Where did you go this morning?
I found a job.
Oh, wonderful. Doing what?
I enlisted in the Army.
Oh, no. No, why would you do that?
I thought you'd be glad about this, Mom.
I don't want you to go to war.
Too late for that. I go to Cleveland next week for my physical.
You didn't even consult your dad and me.
What's to consult? They would have drafted me anyway.
You'll end up in Vietnam.
Probably.
Oh, I went through this with your dad, wondering if he'd come home. I don't want to go through that again with you, David.
Sorry, Mom. I signed up for the infantry just like Dad, so at least he'll be happy.
You leave next week, huh? Well, maybe the Army can teach you some discipline, David.
I'm guaranteed a shot at paratrooper school, Dad.
No kidding. That's great. I met some Army Rangers in the Philippines. I admired them.
All I have to do is get through basic training.
Yeah, well, just remember, when a drill instructor orders you to do something you don't think you can do, look around you. Others have done it, others are doing it, and others will do it in the future. You can do it too, David.
I'm not worried.
And another thing, the military is full of men who spend their time playing poker or rolling dice. Now, you make up your mind to either get good at it or stay away from it.
He was right. Basic training at Fort Knox was a challenge. Their rules were stricter than my parents or my bosses. Then came infantry school in the swamps in Louisiana, learning survival skills. Being a rebellious country boy thrown in with city boys, I quickly began using drugs. Marijuana, downers, and even LSD. I stayed away from gambling and graduated from infantry school in January 1972.
Hello?
Dad, I did it! I graduated.
That's great, son.
Most of the guys are going home for 30 days leave before they head for Vietnam.
Aren't you coming home?
No, I go directly to Fort Benning for jump school.
That's great, David. You passed the physical training test then.
Sure did. 10 of us get 3 more weeks of training. Not everyone makes it.
You will. And your mom and I will be there when you graduate.
I wish I realized that Dad really loved me, not just my accomplishments. Sure enough, when I finished jump school, Dad and Mom drove down to Georgia, where Mom pinned the silver wings on my chest. I expected to be shipped to Southeast Asia, but instead my orders were for a post just outside Mainz, West Germany. I was assigned to headquarters as a jeep driver for the sergeant major, who was a tough soldier. Soon I had drinking buddies.
Hey, how'd you get that cushy job driving the sergeant around, Spurgeon?
Beats me, but I didn't inherit my parents' love for hard work, so I'm careful not to make them mad.
That man sure has a loud voice.
Yeah, and I sure have a thirst. Another round?
Hey, I got some beer in my room. Let's go there and smoke some hash.
Wasted on drugs and feeling cool, I spent weekends at rock concerts, doing things I never knew existed and certainly thought I wouldn't do. My need to be cool commandeered my common sense. In the winter of '72, our brigade went on maneuvers in the Fulda Gap. Being in headquarters, I went a week early and shared a tent with another guy.
Man, it's cold. Freezing.
Yeah, it makes you want to be back in Vietnam, huh?
No way. You wouldn't say that if you'd been there.
Yeah, you're right. Man, this is good hash.
You want to roll some bones?
I don't know how.
You don't know how to shoot craps, man? Where you been all your life?
I'm not a gambler. I like to win, and life is already a gamble.
I'll show you, Spurgeon. I'm known as the man back in Syracuse.
No bets.
All right, then.
The night before the brigade arrived, we were stoned on hash and decided to raid the mess supplies. We stole all the cigarettes from the C rations, and I took up smoking that night. We weren't caught, but a sergeant who knew I was a doper got me kicked off my job as a driver. I was transferred to a unit where I became an expert marksman, with the highest scores in the 300-meter range, displacing that sergeant. He really hated me after that. Early in 1973, I had a chance for a new start as part of an airborne infantry battalion formed in Vicenza, Italy. But old habits die hard. Hash was hard to come by there, but we found a way. At the end of that year, another soldier and I were arrested for drug possession and locked in the Italian jail.
Oh, we were stupid having that hash in the locker.
Nobody expected a barracks inspection.
I can't believe this is happening.
Blame the status of forces agreement.
If the Italians prosecute us, we'll never get out of this place, David.
We better pray that the Army gets us back. I'd forgotten God for years, but I did pray. After a week, the Army retrieved us, and I spent the rest of my time on restricted duty. In August 1974, I was discharged at Fort Dix, New Jersey with an honorable discharge. I spent my last few dollars getting home to Ohio, surprising my parents who were glad I returned unharmed.
I hope you're staying here. We missed you.
Only long enough to get a job and earn some money. I spent all my money traveling around Europe.
You're not broke, son. I sold your car after you left, and I kept the money for you.
You did? Thanks, Dad. I can buy a van and go to California. In California, I worked driving a bulldozer and saved my money to buy a motorcycle. I was obsessed with being a biker, brought on by a movie during my teens, driving down the road, wind in my hair, no one telling me what to do. That was my dream. I forgot that the program ended with them being killed. I promised Mom I'd go home at Christmas, so I drove my van back to Ohio. While I was there, I saw a new motorcycle that I had to have. If only I'd known the way of death I was choosing. But I was blind.
We'll hear the rest of David's story in just a moment. Thank you for the many times your ministry has prayed for me and my family, a listener recently wrote us. Our privilege. Sometimes the notes we get from listeners are brief, like that one, and sometimes they are lengthy, asking for prayers for a loved one or a crisis situation. We pray for these requests, and we also send them on to our prayer band, a group of prayer warriors scattered across the country but united in purpose. So if you have some concern for which you would like prayer, write and tell us. And if you would like to be part of our prayer band, let us know how often you'd like to receive these requests, once or twice a month. Our address, Pacific Garden Mission, 1458 South Canal Street, Chicago, Illinois 60607. Our email address is unshackled@pgm.org. Please include your address.
I'd saved $1,000 to buy a motorcycle, and I had a line of credit in Ohio from the car I bought during high school, so I went to see the same banker.
Okay, let me get this straight, David. You have no job in Ohio, you're drawing unemployment, and you want this bank to loan you $2,000. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir, that's exactly what I'm asking.
How do you expect to come up with the payment every month?
Well, it's only a little over $100. I can hustle that much if I have to.
David, I've never approved a loan based on the applicant's ability to hustle the payment. I'll tell you what, I've been toying around with the idea of buying a motorcycle myself, so I'm going to approve this loan, and when you fail to make the payments, the bank is going to come and get it, and I'll pick it up for the balance.
Thank you, but don't hold your breath. I finally had my new hog that I rode, crashed, fixed up, and rode all over the country. I joined a local motorcycle gang to let me polish the skills I gained in the military. Drinking, fighting, and drugs. Many of the guys start more fights than they finish. In